Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
And we welcome you back to Talk of the Town for this Thursday, May 27th. I'm Gary Stevens. It is the fourth Thursday of the month, which means in this time spot, we get an update of what's going on at the Fillmore Street complex. That is where the Ottawa County Government Administrative Headquarters is. And that is also where the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners meet every second Tuesday of the month, which includes this past Tuesday. And so we have a couple of Ottawa County board members joining us today, Joe Baumann from Holland's North Side, as well as Matt Fenske, who is the vice chair of the panel. They join us via the Zoom connection. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome back to WHTC for both of you.
Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Gary.
Glad you are with us. And if you have a question for Commissioners Fenske or Baumann, they'll be happy to take it at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. First of all, let's talk a little bit about some of the changes that will be taking place in Ottawa County government starting on June 1st. And you no longer need to set up an appointment, although it's still recommended to be able to get a spot, but you don't need an appointment for most county services anymore.
You're right, Gary. County buildings are going to be open to the public, which they have been, but you will not need an appointment for county services. And as of June 1st, if you are fully vaccinated, you do not have to wear a mask on county property, other than, I believe, the courts. The Michigan Circuit Court and headquarters or whatever, they mandated that the courts are still operating under the mask rules. So. But the regular county facilities will all be open to the public, and I, for one, am glad to see it.
It's certainly indeed. And Matt, the thing about the fact that it's opening up, yes, appointments are nice and the masks were there, but to a certain extent, there's still a little bit of a formalness about it, as if, we have to be in our best behavior and all that. Now it's a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more open and a little bit more, I don't want to use the term easygoing, but let's just say it's a little bit more consumer friendly for all of these offices.
Well, certainly our case counts and positivity rates and everything is falling. And, we as a board, voted and signed the resolution to terminate our local state of emergency within Ottawa County due to the pandemic on Tuesday by a 9-2 vote. And, we're excited to get back to at least a little bit closer to normality. We had a lot of people in the audience. I mean, usually we get, a half a dozen to a dozen, but we had pretty close to 40 people. Not only in person, but on Zoom, also wanting to support taking the masks off the kids, letting the kids be able to at least see each other for the last week or 2 weeks of school, what their classmates look like. And so we even took this a little bit further. And this morning we developed and am sending a letter to the Honorable Gretchen Whitmer, asking her to clarify a lot of different things regarding the science of the mask mandate, and in particular for our school children. And we're asking that she take those mandates and those restrictions off our kids and let them have a little bit of freedom for the last week or two of school.
That certainly would be welcome. Hopefully it's something that will be seriously considered for the youngsters' health and for the health of the community as well. And I think that's the underlying concerns and why these mandates have been in. Matt, you sort of alluded to a little bit about a lot of reaction about particularly the masks, but to a certain extent over the last few months, because Ottawa County Board meetings had to be virtual, Zoom technology, as we are doing here now. A lot of people were able to follow the meetings that maybe could not do so earlier because before that, because they really couldn't get to the Fillmore Complex for a Tuesday afternoon meeting. This has been a topic that was discussed before the outbreak, and I'm going to bring it back up now. The possibility of having board meetings once we are back to face-to-face meetings, having board meetings streamed so that people who cannot be there in person can still view the meetings. And if it's saved, people can be able to see the meetings and follow them at their own convenience. Has that been a sort of a situation where, hey, you know, this worked so well during the pandemic, let's just keep it going after everything is done?
Absolutely. I think it's been a good tool. I mean, we will be back in person, of course, but for those that aren't able to be there for whatever reason, you know, we're going to continue to stream our meetings and make sure that everybody has an opportunity to see what we're doing and what we're voting on and what the issues and concerns are. And it worked out very well. Very well. And so we will continue to do that. We want to try to be transparent and have everybody able to, you know, appreciate our lovely county and what's going on. And we're moving forward.
If you got a question for Ottawa County Commissioners Matt Fenske, whom you've just heard, or from Joe or with Joe Baumann, they'll be happy to answer it at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. I believe this was a topic that was brought about last month with the commissioners that we had on board, and I'll bring it right back up again, Joe. Dealing with funds from the American Rescue Act. Are you still waiting for guidance as to what you can spend and what you can't spend on that?
We are. We have gotten the information as to how to get the money, but last I heard, we didn't have the money yet, and we are still waiting for kind of the rules and guidelines as to what this money can be spent for. And we've received a lot of phone calls and emails from interested parties as to how to spend it, but we are fiscally conservative, and we want to make sure if we spend it, that we spend it the way it's supposed to be spent, and that 4 years from now, the government doesn't come back and go, oh, by the way, you spent $10 million and that wasn't the way you were supposed to do it. So we'd like that back. And so we want to avoid that. So yeah, we've kind of, I think, have heard some hints as to, you know, the types of things that it can be used for, but nothing that I'm aware of. And I don't know if Matt has heard anything since Tuesday, but nothing concrete yet as to the rules and regulations on how to spend the money.
And Matt, the thing is, any updates, but the thing is on this, and I think I brought this up before, money from the federal government inevitably comes with strings attached. You accept our money, you gotta, fiddle, you gotta dance to the tune we're fiddling to you. And sometimes that steps on a little bit of the autonomy a local unit of government, in this case, Ottawa County, might have.
Right. And we are in the process as well of forming a committee with local nonprofits, several of us from the county board, as well as some of the leaders of local government in Ottawa County, to take suggestions and come up with recommendations to the board as to how the money is going to be spent. So we're getting things in motion. So when we finally get the rules, we can get going.
Millage rates. Oh, yes, we got to talk taxes. I know it's not fun for everybody, but there will be a public hearing coming up on the county millage rate a week from Tuesday, June the 8th. Matt Fenske or Joe Baumann, either one of you can want to weigh in on this?
Well, the rates for Ottawa County are going to remain unchanged. what that does is that the hearing allows the county to capture the taxes basically that result from the new construction and inflation. It's a total levy that makes Ottawa County, rate still the sixth lowest taxed among all the Michigan 83 counties. So, even though it appears as if it's a millage increase, it really isn't. We haven't done that in years and years and years. And so it's just capturing all the new construction and allows us to, because the Headley rollback affects that whole process. But we have a public hearing, and we certainly welcome input and comments from constituents.
Yeah, let's put it this way. You got to have money to run the government. I'm sorry, but the government's got to provide some basic services. It's the problem, and maybe I'm in the minority about speaking about this. I have no problems with taxes as long as they're spent wisely, spent prudently, spent the most efficient way to get the best bang for the buck.
Well, yep. Well, even with the $57 million that is going to be channeled to us, and there'll be different buckets, but it has to be measurable. That's the big thing, is that we're going to have to measure how that money is being spent, and whether it's spent for constructive things, things that are going to be here 5, 10, 15 years down the road, because that's an awful lot of money. And we need to make sure that we can measure the success in the use of that money.
And to be honest with you, I think Ottawa County, for the most part, and I don't want to sound like I'm, patting you guys in the back because I'm talking to you right now. For the most part, I think Ottawa County does a pretty good job of husbanding and being good stewards of the public money. And no public entity is perfect, gentlemen, but Ottawa County does a pretty good job.
Pretty fiscally responsible.
That is one of our primary concerns, is, to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money.
I know that this date is not until September, but we got an email over the past month. Save the date. An event to support farmland preservation, Thursday, September 20th in Hudsonville. Farms are the tapas. Farmland preservation, and I know that's something that the county has been very much an advocate for over the past few years.
Yeah, this will be our fourth annual Farms Are the Tapas fundraiser, and it's just one tool in the toolbox that we use to get funds to preserve farmland. We utilize the federal government, we utilize the state for purchase of development rights to preserve farmland, and there's no county dollars that are used for purchase of land. This is all either by grants or personal donations or fundraisers. And since we're the 7th largest county in the state, we're the fastest growing county for the last decade. Our farmland is getting gobbled up really, really fast. And God doesn't make new land. We have what we have. So we really have to protect it. We have to do good planning with our townships. And in fact, our townships have to sign a resolution to enter into the farmland preservation program. And so far we have, I think there's 13 townships out of the bunch that have committed to trying to preserve farmland.
By the way, with all due respect, Joe Joe Baumann, and I think you might agree with me, maybe you don't, but anyway, the reason why Matt Fenske might be a pretty good person to talk about it, because the district, the ward that he works in for the Ottawa County Board, Coopersville, Talmadge Township, basically the area along I-96 in the northern part of the county. Yeah, that's a lot of farmland up there. They're definitely involved in that regard.
That is true, Gary, but also Matt's the expert in farmland preservation because he's on the Farmland Preservation Board. Okay. He's the commissioner appointee for that. So
okay,
he is the expert.
We defer to his expertise. And finally, we have a few moments here. The Art Trust The Holland Area Arts Council in the county is going to be collaborating for the 4th year with the Ottawa County Art Trust. Can either of you can address that real quick?
Sure. What we did a few years ago, we developed an art trust and asked the local artists to put their works on display. And then we have a judge go through and pick a number of the pieces that they enjoyed. And then there is a small payment to the artist, and then those pieces become property of the county, and they're going to be displayed throughout the county buildings. We've got at the Fillmore Complex, we've got quite a few of them hanging on the walls, and it's just our way of helping the local artist and promoting culture in the county.
Ottawa County Commissioners Joe Baumann, Matt Fenske, thank you very much for joining us today on Talk of the Town, spending some time with us, and look forward to chatting with both of you again later on this year. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
And that is Ottawa County Commissioners Matt Fenske and Joe Baumann on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.